Monday, September 14, 2015, dawned bright and full of promise for 16-year-old Nolan Buchanan. The previous day had been one of joy and connection, a perfect Sunday spent with his girlfriend. They started the day attending a traditional morning mass with her family, a ritual that filled Nolan with a sense of peace and community. Following the service, they spent the afternoon with friends, laughing and enjoying each other's company. As the sun set, the couple shared a romantic evening, making memories that Nolan hoped would last a lifetime. Waking up on that Monday morning, Nolan felt a surge of optimism and excitement. He saw himself as a young, successful businessman, standing on the threshold of a new chapter in his life. The recent inheritance of Buchanan Construction from his late father had given him a sense of purpose and responsibility. Nolan was determined to honor his father's legacy while bringing fresh ideas and improvements to the family business. His mind buzzed with plans and strategies to revitalize the company, envisioning innovative projects and new opportunities that would elevate Buchanan Construction to new heights. As he got ready for the day, Nolan's thoughts were filled with dreams of a bright future. He imagined transforming the business, implementing modern management techniques, and expanding their reach. With youthful enthusiasm and a heart full of ambition, Nolan felt ready to take on the world. The promise of new beginnings and the support of his loved ones gave him the confidence that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Little did he know, the events that would soon unfold would shatter his idyllic vision and change his life forever. However, just a few weeks later, on October 1, 2015, Nolan's dreams came crashing down. That day, at Bonita High School in Bonita, California, the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office arrested him. The sight of Nolan being taken away in handcuffs shocked everyone. Nolan, once a promising young man with a bright future, was now facing severe charges. He was detained at the Juvenile Treatment Center in South Lake Tahoe, where he awaited his trial. The gravity of the charges against Nolan was staggering. He was accused of crimes that left the community reeling. On June 13, 2018, after a brief 2-hour deliberation, the jury found him guilty on 3 counts. The courtroom was tense as the verdict was read, confirming Nolan's fate. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. This dramatic fall from grace left his neighbors and classmates in shock, struggling to reconcile the Nolan they knew with the heinous acts he was convicted of committing. The transformation from a hopeful teenager to a convicted criminal was both swift and tragic, leaving a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. Nolan's family life appeared idyllic to outsiders. His father, Adam Buchanan, owned Buchanan Construction, a company that provided a comfortable lifestyle for the family. Adam was a hard-working man, dedicated to his business and determined to offer his family the best. After his first marriage ended in divorce, Adam was left to raise Nolan on his own. This changed when he met Molly. Molly was a cheerful, sociable woman who joined Buchanan Construction as an office manager. She quickly caught Adam's eye, and their mutual interest blossomed into a serious relationship. Molly moved in with Adam, and they soon married. She dreamed of creating a loving, happy family, and put considerable effort into building a positive relationship with her stepson, Nolan. Not long after their marriage, Molly gave birth to Gavin, adding more joy to their home. The family often retreated to their vacation property in El Dorado County, a rustic cabin nestled on 19 acres of land. This cabin, though lacking modern conveniences like electricity and running water, became a cherished getaway. Adam, with his construction skills, actively remodeled the cabin, turning it into a cozy retreat. The Buchanans spent many weekends and holidays there, enjoying the peace and beauty of nature away from the hustle and bustle of their everyday lives. The cabin symbolized the Buchanan family's bond and shared moments of happiness. Friends and neighbors saw them as a close-knit, loving family. They often heard stories of their adventures and relaxing times spent at the cabin, reinforcing the image of an ideal family. Adam's successful business, their comfortable lifestyle, and the frequent family getaways to the rustic cabin painted a picture of harmony and contentment. However, behind this facade of happiness, there were underlying tensions and conflicts. These would eventually surface, revealing a much darker reality than anyone could have imagined. But for a time, at least, the Buchanan family appeared to be living the dream, enjoying the fruits of Adam's labor and the warmth of their family bonds. On September 13, 2015, a wildfire broke out in Greenwood Township, California. The flames swept through the area, engulfing and destroying the Buchanan family's rustic cabin. When firefighters arrived at the scene, they found the remains of the cabin still smoldering. At first, the firefighters thought that the fire might have claimed the life of a trapped pet, as charred remains were found in the ashes. However, as they began to inspect the scene more closely, a more tragic reality emerged. Amid the rubble and ashes, the coroner discovered a human skull and other human remains. This gruesome find suggested that the fire had taken more than just property. The initial assumption of an accidental wildfire causing the death of a pet quickly gave way to a more serious investigation. The authorities called in backup from the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office to examine the scene in detail. As they sifted through the debris, it became evident that this was not just a tragic accident but potentially a crime scene. The human remains found in the ruins indicated that the fire might have been a cover-up for something far more sinister. Detectives quickly identified the charred remains as those of 2 adults and a child. A skull with a bullet hole indicated foul play, shifting the investigation from a tragic accident to a homicide. The primary question became, who could have committed such a heinous act? Suspicion soon fell on Nolan Buchanan. Initially, Nolan claimed his father, stepmother, and younger brother had gone to the cabin without him, leaving him to look after the house. However, as investigators delved deeper, they began to find evidence that contradicted his story. Surveillance footage showed the family's truck, a Ford F-150, traveling back and forth from the cabin, not the Dodge truck Nolan had mentioned. Forensic evidence also began to unravel Nolan's narrative. Nolan's fingerprints were found on a rifle discovered near the crime scene, raising serious questions about his involvement. Financial records added another layer of suspicion. Transactions made with Adam Buchanan's credit card during the weekend of the murders indicated Nolan's presence at locations far from where he claimed to be. Further scrutiny revealed more inconsistencies in Nolan's account of his whereabouts. Interviews with his girlfriend and friends didn't align with the timeline he provided. As the evidence mounted, it became increasingly clear that Nolan's story didn't add up, leading investigators to focus their attention on him as a prime suspect in the tragic events at the Buchanan cabin. During the trial, Nolan maintained his innocence, alleging self-defense against his abusive father. However, forensic evidence and the sequence of events presented by the prosecution undermined his claims. On July 13, 2018, Nolan was found guilty of first-degree murder for the deaths of his father, stepmother, and brother. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. During the trial, Nolan Buchanan maintained his innocence, claiming that he had acted in self-defense against his abusive father. According to Nolan, his father, Adam, had been violent towards him, and on the night of the murders, a confrontation had escalated into a deadly struggle. Nolan insisted that his father had shot the family members and then turned the gun on him, forcing Nolan to defend himself. However, the prosecution presented a different narrative, one supported by compelling forensic evidence and a meticulously constructed timeline of events. Investigators had discovered Nolan's fingerprints on the rifle found near the crime scene. Additionally, surveillance footage and financial records contradicted Nolan's account of his whereabouts during the weekend of the murders. Security cameras captured Nolan using his father's credit card and driving the family's Ford F-150, directly linking him to the scene. The forensic evidence was damning. The angles of the bullet wounds suggested that the victims had been shot by someone standing over them, which did not support Nolan's claim of a chaotic struggle. Furthermore, the lack of defensive wounds on Nolan indicated that he had not been engaged in a life-and-death fight as he described. The prosecution argued that Nolan had premeditated the murders, aiming to take over the family business and escape the abuse he allegedly endured. On July 13, 2018, after a thorough and emotional trial, the jury found Nolan Buchanan guilty of first-degree murder for the deaths of his father, stepmother, and younger brother. The judge sentenced Nolan to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. As the sentence was handed down, the courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow, marking the end of a tragic chapter for the Buchanan family. The case of Nolan Buchanan is a tragic and cautionary tale. It raises questions about the pressures faced by young individuals and the dark undercurrents that can exist beneath the surface of seemingly normal family lives. As Nolan serves his sentence, he maintains his innocence, holding on to the hope that one day he might be free. His story serves as a reminder of how quickly dreams can turn into nightmares and the profound impact of family dynamics on young lives.